Hey, what's good, everybody, man? You are tuned into another episode of Fatherhood. It's dope, the podcast. It's your guy, Aaron McGee, man. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the platform, man. I appreciate you joining us. I got a special guest with us today, my guy, Germar Gardner. Can y'all say what's up to Germar? This is when you hear the little fanfare in the background. You're like, woo. Yo, so normally, man, I have a chance to kind of, like get to know some of my special guests before they jump on the platform. But Germar, this is all new, man. But he comes highly recommended. Germar has participated. Germar is actually an actor first and foremost, amongst many other things. And of course, what qualifies him for this platform and for this conversation is that he is a father. But he's an actor, and we're going to get into all of that. But he definitely comes highly recommended from a trusted source who he's worked with. So I have a professional recommendation on Germar. So, man, of course, I want to welcome you to the platform. But, before I jump into any of your work and your fatherhood, man, I just want to say shout out to you as another HBCU alum.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about it. Let the folks know which HBCU you represent.
DSU. Okay. I thought you knew what?
Yeah.
Delaware State University.
Delaware State University. Hey, my listeners, they probably thought you said TSU.
Oh, did they? No. That's D. D is in David. I would do that. I don't know if they can get the whole thing in there. DSU. They do all that stuff. But.
Yeah, and so, man, you about to, how do we do out there? And we do TSU.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Yeah, so I'm representing for Tennessee State University, man.
All right.
Yeah, but this is what you don't know, man. It may make sense as we're literally recording a podcast, right? But I also see that were a mass comm major, man.
Yeah, I was. Yes, I was.
You know we right?
I'm sorry?
I said, we're on the same page, right? It's
no, I didn't.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man. So
we
in this together. So I was mass comm, radio and television production, man.
Okay, yeah, I'm television production and print journalism.
Yeah, sweet deal. And then yet here you are acting. Let's get into
it. Yeah.
Get into it, man. You've done an array of work, man, but I know one of your most notable things, let's just get it out the way. One of your most notable things and critically acclaimed roles is your role on Orange is the New Black, the Netflix original series. So let's get that. Let's address that elephant in the room. I know when you went to audition for the role as the guard, you probably didn't foresee it unfolding in a way that it did. So let's get into that a little bit. Let's talk about Orange is the New Black.
Sure. I think it was around 2014. I auditioned. You can hear me good, right?
Yeah. I'm tapped in. And don't mind me, man. I got to get my water intake in.
Man, I wish I would have grabbed mine before we started, man. So if I get a little choked up, don't worry. It ain't the tears. I'm missing some fluids. But I auditioned for the role in 2014. And like you said, it was completely not foreseen at all, completely unexpected. I don't know if you want me to get into the fatherhood thing yet, but there's a real, how can I say, just at the time was stressful, but now it's kind of just really full of I'm just completely grateful for how the situation played out because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
But I auditioned for the role. At the time, I was working as artists must do. I was working a survival job.
Let's talk about it. An artist must do. What's that about?
Well, not all of us are getting that Will Smith money right out the gate, So in the midst of that, there's still lights that have to be paid, the car note possibly. And, being on a fatherhood show, you may have kids that need some chicken and some Skittles and some bikes and school. So, you have to find a way to supplement income because for the most part, until you get that acting job, you're just auditioning. So you're really spending money. before you get a chance to make any money. You got to get headshots. If you have representation, you really don't have to pay for representation until you start working. But just putting yourself out there is going to take some twine. So you got to come. You got to have something to help keep the boat going.
Man, listening to you, you really make acting sound a lot like the role of an entrepreneur. You got to put in a lot on the front end and you got to make the investment on the front end to see that ROI come through, man. And so it seemed like what you were alluding to is that as you were preparing to, you're on your audition trail and you actually auditioned for Orange is the New Black, but everything, it wasn't all roses at the time, right?
No, not at all, man. Actually, I don't want to make it sound like my story is like super tough. It was, I had
that's not what we're hearing. That's not what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah?
No, I'm not hearing that it's super tough. I'm just,
right.
You just laying it out as it is. Like,
exactly.
It wasn't easy.
Right. No, it definitely wasn't easy because you have, it's almost like, there's this, not to be too cliche, but it's almost like there's this light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And you just, the closer you think you get, the further away it starts to seem.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, before I started acting, I think I might have had about, professionally, as far as college, maybe about 5 or 6. Some have had more than that. But I was more in a more, what's the word I'm looking for? I might be losing my words here. I apologize. I got to step on my feet. But yeah, I was, and my jobs were they were very, not interactive, but for the lack of a better word, I had to go full force into it.
Yeah.
Because it was more like a career than an actual job. It wasn't like waiting tables or, washing cars or anything like that. I had a job at a cable company as a customer service representative at the time. So I was doing that. And at the same time, I'm still taking classes that every Thursday. I was working the second shift. So that's, 3 to 11. I'm taking my daughter to school. And I'm on a job that I really don't want to be at because I have to make a living in order to do what I really want to do, in order to get that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So that part of it was a little rough.
Man, that's so many of us. You don't know this. So quick backdrop on me, man. So I come out of Tennessee State University as a comm student. I'm thinking, I'm in Nashville. I'm thinking, I'm about to move to Atlanta. I want to work. I wanted to produce for CNN. So I'm going to move to Atlanta. I already had an interview lined up, went down, interviewed for like a week or so, and kind of got put on hold. So I came back to Nashville, and I'm like, well, I'm in the CNN pipeline. I knew some producers there through some work I had done in undergrad, like a fellowship at ASU. So I think this is where this aligns with what I just heard you say. So I came back to Nashville, and I was like, okay, well, I need to go ahead and get a job until something unfolds. And I said, well, I can work for the YMCA because it's what I would call non-threatening, meaning that because you gave this description of, I don't remember the specifics, but let's just say like a fast food place or a grocery store.
Yeah,
where you go in, you follow the protocols, you clock in, you clock out, you move on. Whereas the cable company, there's a bit more intellectual power that's being required of you, man, to like push sales and to do a number of other things. So not that one is greater than the other, but one just requires a different skill set and mindset. So I took the job at the YMCA thinking that it's non-threatening and I can still pursue my career aspirations in broadcast while doing this job. And lo and behold, the YMCA, they tricked me, man. They got me in there and they started talking about mission and purpose and getting me embedded into the community. And it became a career where I spent almost 5 years of my life and kind of backtrack or put my other goals, aspirations on the back burners.
Yeah.
And so, but it's good to see that although you was working that type of job, man, you were still able to push out of that. And so that's where I want to get to. How did you push out of that career space and still find this time to do the audition? And then after you get the role, do you just leave the career?
Oh yeah, quick. Just like I said, I never really was in, I felt that happening to me.
Yeah.
The getting sucked into the corporate engine. And at one point, actually, Orange was the last audition I did before I told myself I wasn't going to do this anymore. I had
how is that the case? We hear that so many times. It's like the illustration, you see the dude digging in the tunnel. And
exactly.
He walks back with his shovel over his shoulder, like, and if he would have hit one more time, the treasure could have been right there.
Right. Exactly. And I think that, came with the preparation I was doing up until that point. Because like I said, my entire tenure there, which wasn't very long, I was still taking classes. I was in New York more than I live in Connecticut. So I was in New York more than I was in Connecticut.
What's that drive like?
Well, I would take the train. The drive is actually a lot shorter, but you got to worry about, being on the road at a certain time. But the train ride is about an hour and 40 minutes. So, the commute for me isn't bad. I don't mind sitting on the train. I get to go over my lines. I get to, daydream a little bit, plot and scheme. So, but yeah, so the transition for me was real easy. But leading up to it wasn't. I had actually gotten into some real bad financial strains and strains. And I remember laying in my bed thinking to myself, if I apply myself really hard to this job and I just work a little harder in about 6 months, I could probably get at least a $20 raise.
Yeah.
And then 6 months after that, I probably would have been making about $50 an hour. So it started to look real appealing.
Yeah.
So I had made up in my mind that day, I'm not acting anymore. I was going to take a nap before my shift at 3:00. And after I woke up, I was going to call my manager and tell her, just take me off the roster. I'm done. And as soon as I laid down and closed my eyes, she called me and told me that I booked Orange. What do you do?
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's sick, man. So what was that show run for you? Then we pivoting right here, man. I'm diving in because, man, there's so many dads. One dad comes to mind. I'm going to call his name because I'm not going to say his last name, but this one dad I know by the name of Alan, who is an actor, and he's aspiring to, further his acting career. He's a father. And so I know he's looking for that breaking point to land a role of the status of Orange is the New Black and some other shows out there. And so I really just wanted you to kind of go in on it, man, because so many dads are turning away at that breaking point not because they're not strong enough to keep going, but because many of us have to make that decision on what am I sacrificing here? And like, do I sacrifice taking care of my kids and putting the food on the table in the now?
Yeah.
Or do I neglect those things in the now and still work toward the later, and it's a fine line, man. And it seems like that's exactly where you were.
Yeah, absolutely. At the time my daughter was attending Catholic school, and that's tuition. So, they want your arm and your leg.
Period.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Cut it off.
Yeah.
So that was on my mind at the time too. Wanting to, because at the time I was a single father. Me and her mother had separated. She's a great mother. But we had separated at the time. So, she's doing the best she can. And, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, when there's a split, the daughter spends most of the time with the mother. So she had a lot of time with her. I had my time as well. But outside of not having that missing maybe a little bit of the time, I still wanted to be there financially. I still wanted to be a presence. So that was on my mind when I can't remember what. I think I had auditioned for something else like maybe before I auditioned for Orange, and I called about that other one, and they said no. So, hearing what you were saying about the brother trying to make that decision, yeah, that's the thing of, I guess, just having that staying power and believing in what you want to do. How far are you willing to take it? And that can be very daunting when you have those kinds of responsibilities, as it was for me. So, but luckily for me, I caught that one break, but that there's still more that you need to catch to, have that Will Smith staying power.
Yeah. And how old is your daughter?
She's 12.
Yeah. So she's old enough to kind of to see the struggle, whether she may not understand it all, but she's old enough to see it. So, I mean, what type of conversations are you having with her around, daddy's line of work? Because she wasn't 12 in 2014, so she's 12 now.
Yeah.
But what type of conversations are you having with her around your line of work? And I mean, what does that dynamic look like now? You had a role like that, so you're in the industry, you're an actor, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? So, I mean, work has slowed down for everybody. But beyond that, how does she embrace daddy's profession?
She understands quite a bit, and I think she's always understood. The conversations we have around that are always, I try to make sure that she knows that you can have a career in the arts or whatever it is that you are passionate about and want to do that maybe non-traditional.
Yeah.
You can find a path to it, but I always tell her, you gotta work. My daughter loves to draw. She's actually a really good artist, and she's untrained. She's had a couple of art classes, but she's just a natural talent. So I tell her all the time, when you're home, draw. When you don't feel like drawing, draw. Because right now you have that time, and being in this pandemic, I'm lucky enough to have some things to hold me over while this is going on. But I'm also taking this opportunity to work on my craft. So I try to feed that to her as well.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, draw as much as you can. And I always tell her, don't get down. I let her know that I'll be there for, whatever she needs. But she also has to understand that there's going to have to be a lot of sacrifice. We talk about sacrifice all the time, and she's well aware of that. I see it when we go certain places. There was one time, I think she might have been 10 or 11. It made me a little sad and proud at the same time. I believe I was getting ready to buy her a toy, and she looked at the price, and she said, "Nah, that's too much. We don't need that right now. We can get it another time." So I was like, "Yeah," but then also I was like, "Nah, you deserve it. We can get this one. It's okay." But I do talk to her about making good choices in that area and in other areas of her life.
That's one thing I appreciate about like dads, parents of our generation. We kind of respectfully or respectively allow our kids greater insight, because we know that they see us. We know that they are that more is caught than is taught. And I think that as you kind of have those type of conversations with your children, that it removes a stigma and this taboo around, like, it breaks barriers of fears of thinking that they can't do something or thinking that they want to do something that they shouldn't be doing. So I appreciate it. I read somewhere where you were talking about your grandparents and your parents and their mentality on like raising children, or at least from that Southern perspective of like being, what did you say, being seen and not heard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's that about? I mean, listen, I'm from the South, so
yeah,
listen, I know what it's about, but that didn't mean that I practiced it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, that's why we know what the switch is too.
Period. I definitely know what that switch is.
Yeah.
I definitely know what that switch is.
Yep. No, that was coming up. even my parents, my parents were semi-strict, but it was the idea of, shut up, boy, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, not so much. I was gonna say not so much that we couldn't have an opinion, but it mattered what that opinion was about. Like, you know, if you don't want mashed potatoes for dinner, that doesn't matter. That's what's for dinner. So shut up, sit down, and eat.
That's what we eating.
Exactly. This is what, and if you ain't eating, you must not be hungry. So, and that for me, it kind of carried over into other things. I remember when I was in college, and I don't know if my father will ever see this, but I want to throw that out there. He's a great man.
We honor him.
I'm sorry?
I said we honor him.
Yes, absolutely.
That should cover everything.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
That covers everything. I honor you, Father. But, you know, I was in school and I was talking to them about things that I wanted to do, and he was really pushing hard for me to become a teacher.
Yeah.
But in his eyes, that's where a promising future lied, you know? So in talking with where I try to switch that up, because I always felt like, oh, that means that they don't believe in me. That means that they don't support me. And I learned over the years that doesn't mean that. It's just that, like, you know, I was explaining before that, and what you were talking about, what you read, they come from a different era. And I believe, you know, in our era, we're different. Like, you know, I think maybe in my teens, we started leaving from the kitchen table to watch TV when we ate dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, you know, that breeds a different mentality, I feel. And for, you know, my daughter, she's very opinionated. And when she was early on, I think I tried hard to kind of lock some things down because, you know, you don't want them you feel like you don't want them to lead too far astray from anything that you might have brought them up to believe or feel, or, you know, but I also want to give her tools instead of just like laying a flat, you know, idea on her. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, like I want her to use her intellect. You know, when she gets out there, I want her to be able to maneuver in a world in a better way. Like, if she feels that she wants to become an artist, then okay, I'm going to go and find the tools that I need to create for myself, and I'm going to go and find the job that I need to support myself. So I've always, or not always, I started maybe in the last 4 years, started really being a little bit more liberal, allowing her to express herself a little bit more and make sure that she knows that her opinion is valued. Make sure that she knows that she has her own view, and she can, you know, let people know that and be confident in expressing that.
Yeah.
Instead of just feeling like, oh, well, this is what dad wants me to do. This is what mom wants me to do. I don't think that has to transfer into your career beliefs, you know?
Yeah. When you said being more liberal, you know, I was just watching your body language, and I was wondering, like, did you kind of have that nuance in your tone when you said that? Because do you think that there's like a negative kind of connotation that comes along with liberal parents, or parents being more liberal, or giving their kids too much room or too much leash?
Yeah. I know my parents would have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I'd assume that, you know, I mean, with today's youth, man, I know out here in Connecticut, I don't know how it is out there in Tennessee, but I know in Connecticut, in the greater our tri-state area, New York and New Jersey, it's rough out here for these kids, man. Yeah. It's almost like they have too much freedom and no direction.
Yeah.
For some, and they're just kind of picking up what habits and beliefs or whatever that, you know, they may come across on their walk, and not all of them are going to be beneficial in the future.
Right.
But yeah, as far as, you know, my liberal stance with raising my daughter, I just want her to, you know, like I said, when I was coming up, you know, it wasn't, well, I don't think this is right because it was just, no, this is what I said and this is what we're going to do. I'm pretty sure my mother wouldn't have. She didn't do it with me, but I tried to, give my daughter that space to, well, if you don't want chicken, what would you like to eat?
Yeah.
And then if I'm gonna offer her that, I don't want to cripple her by just making whatever she wants. Like, all right, well, this is how you cook spaghetti. If you don't want chicken tonight, this is how you cook your spaghetti. This is how you do it.
It's funny, man. My parents call that new age parenting. Y'all give your kids all these choices.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I think that's pretty dope, man. I mean, that's where we are. Kids are evolving and parents are evolving. When my daughter was born, I was nervous. Like, man, what do I do? What do I do? One of the best pieces of advice that a dad told me, he said, "Oh, don't worry. She'll teach you how to raise her."
No, how about that?
She'll teach you how to raise her, and you take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, they are individuals, and they show up as they are. And not all kids. You don't have to lay the iron fist down on all kids, because some of them are really cerebral or logical, right? And you can talk through things, and you say, "Baby, if it's not mashed potatoes tonight, is it sweet potatoes, and why?" And then they can say, "Well, mashed potatoes make my stomach hurt, and I think potatoes are healthier for me, right? That's what you told me." And you like, "I did tell you that."
Yeah.
So I hear you, man. Well, let me ask you, what's next for you? How are you navigating your career in the pandemic, and then what do you hope is next?
Well, I've been doing a lot of writing. Not a lot, but more than I've done in the past. So I've taken advantage of this opportunity to do that because, not that I have a problem with being typecast, but instead of allowing that entity to dictate where I go, maybe I can, create my own and give myself the opportunity that I would like.
Can we take the maybe out of it?
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
So you can create your own and give yourself the opportunity that you like. Don't let them box you in, man. You're too talented for that.
Thank you, brother. Yes, thank you.
I did see you in the film Message Red that actually my brother was a producer on, and my brother Larry McGee produced that, and Spencer Glover was the director on that. So
my guys, man. Those are my guys now.
Yeah, we all used to be roommates for a while, man. I'm clearly the one that didn't make the team.
I heard you did something, right? You worked on it a little bit, no?
Oh yeah, man. They used to use me as their guinea pig before they was able to access actors like you. So I do acting myself, but I guess they got tired of me, man. I played every role without compromise. I played every role they asked me to. I've been every drug addict, homeless man, old man, you name it. I've been there for them. And then
they just didn't want you to take over the game too quick, man. That's all. You can't do everything.
I hope they're watching it, because that's exactly what it was. Called you out. Spence out there in LA, Larry's out there in New York, and they left me here in Nashville.
Oh man, Nashville's bumping though.
It is, man. It is, and I'm doing what I love to do, man. They the film guys, man. And I love doing this. I love talking to people. My thing is that everyone has a story to tell, and I want to be a part of that. This Fatherhood is Dope platform is about amplifying the voices of fathers, and so this is what I enjoy doing. And ironic enough, we're actually doing what we went to school to do. So while they were producing film in school, I was the executive producer of our of the news channel, and the operations manager of our station, our campus radio station. So this whole space of telling stories on the fly, kind of doing news and this interviewing piece, man. It's kind of what we were trained to do. So I'm doing it in my capacity, and I know you went to school for communication, but I already know that. Well, let me ask, because some people more often than not, the comms department is like this with the theater department. Did you have any theater experience on campus?
No, I did not. I watched one play. That was it.
That was probably for a class.
No. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know how I ended up there, man. I think I even came after intermission too.
That's fun. You're so disrespectful, man.
I know, right? I'm sorry, DSU Theater Department.
No.
Yeah.
DSU.
No, you know, at the time I didn't even know I always wanted to act, but I just didn't think that it was something that could be done.
Yeah.
You know, which is another story I tell my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, I think over time, you know, you were saying how we were already doing this and while we were in school. And, you know, you guys, well, you know, of course, Larry's your brother, and, you know, you're connected with Spencer too, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm noticing as I get older that it's almost like these experiences that I have are like the pieces to the puzzle, and now I'm just starting to make it all come together.
That's good. That's good. I always say two things. One, especially for men who want to be actors, and we think, you know, once we get, I'm over 30, and
you don't look a day over 25, brother.
I'll take that. I appreciate that. So, but here's the caveat. So most men and college students, especially when they want to be actors, you want it and you want it right now. You want to pop between 21, 25, 27 for sure. 28, you are too old, right? But that's not the case. Spike Lee has that new movie on Netflix, 5 something.
The Five Bloods.
The Five Bloods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I, we watched that last week or something. And man, you see these older seasoned men on screen killing it. I mean, they get so in the pocket. And one of the things that I want to say to actors, particularly any male actors watching this, man, and I think you are a testament to this as well, is that the beautiful thing about acting is that it is a lifelong journey. And that if you really want to do this, look at me. I'm acting like I'm off Orange Is the New Black. But look, but no, this is what I tell myself. If you really want to do it, then you got to understand that sometimes, like, acting is all about being seasoned in life. Yeah. So, you know, when you 40 and you feel like you too old, there's going to be a role. You know how many roles there are for 40-year-old men to play an array of characters? And so it's like, man, just stay at it, man. That's my encouragement to you too, as you are in the industry, but also you definitely strike me as the type that, and you've said it, you put words to yourself, that you're going to create your own space. So, man, look at Ava DuVernay, man.
Yeah, excuse me. Mm-hmm.
You know, she's an easy one to see, that over 40 and popped.
Yeah.
And now she's in the stratosphere somewhere. She's not coming down anytime soon.
Oh yeah. You got it. It's just a matter of believing in yourself, and I'm a firm believer in, if you have that goal set, you can't put a time limit on it.
Yeah.
You can't put a time limit on it. You just gotta work your craft until the door is open, because they're gonna open.
Yeah.
They're gonna open.
So here's the second thing, and then you get the final word right here. My second thing was, okay, you know, it's seasonal, so you're gonna be seasoned. The second thing, when you said that all of the pieces are like adding up, I always remind myself and guys that are in my circle that, man, we already have all the tools that we need to be who we want to be. And nowadays, especially with technology, we have access to literally the world. Mm-hmm. Even though we may be one or two people removed from it, man. So that's my little tidbit, just as a kindred mass comm / actor spirit here. And I just wanted to encourage you, but you get the final word on this podcast today on either what's next, or, man, you can just tell us what brings you the greatest joy around fatherhood, or both of them.
Yeah, I guess I can do both, because I believe it all ties in. So what's next? I'm writing my own stuff. I have a script that I've been writing specifically for me and my daughter, because she's expressed some interest in acting. And I think that's what brings me joy, just seeing true happiness from anybody, definitely, but especially from my own bloodline, to be able to see her truly happy, and happiness in not knowing that she fulfilled the promise of somebody else, but that she fulfilled her own promise to herself.
It's powerful.
That makes me feel good.
That's powerful. That's a blessing, man. I hope you get to see. I hope your daughter gets to indulge and bask in your legacy, and I hope you get to see her legacy unfold as well, man.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest on Fatherhood is Dope, the podcast, Mr. Germar Gardner. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Instagram at Who the Hell is Germar Terrell. That's THAHELLGERMARTERRELL.
Yeah.
I'm also on Twitter at Germar Terrell. Shoot, I haven't done Twitter in so long. I hope that's it. My bad, but I'm pretty sure it's Germar Terrell on Twitter. And hopefully in the theaters sometime in 2021, because everything got pushed back. And before I give up the mic, I just want to say I truly appreciate you having me on the show. I think this is a beautiful thing that you're doing. We just celebrated Father's Day not too long ago, and me and the fellas always sit around and joke about how, the fathers do work too, but we don't always get that recognition. Not that we're trying to take anything away from the mothers. We definitely need you, Queen. We definitely need you there, and it's a blessing to have you around. But can we get a piece of steak, piece of chicken?
Period.
No, appreciate it, man.
No, that's love, man. Well, it's my pleasure, it's my honor to host you, to engage in this conversation with you, man. I'm believing that I'll see you on the screen come 2021 and beyond. I'm looking forward to the work that you're going to produce. It will be such a blessing to see you and your daughter create together, literally create art together. So that's going to be beautiful. They're going to be able to find you. I'm going to put your handle right in your lower third right there with your name, so you'll be easy to find. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Fatherhood is Dope, the podcast. Now do that thing that you do when you see something that you like, you screenshot it, you send it over to your friends, you download it, you subscribe. So go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Fatherhood is Dope page. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, then please go ahead and download the podcast. I enjoy you all engaging in the content. Thank you to the Fatherhood is Dope community on Instagram, man. I so enjoy the level of engagement that you all bring to the page, and as well as on Facebook too, because you guys are pretty loyal. But you've been listening to Fatherhood is Dope, the podcast. I'm your guy, Aaron McGee. It's been real. Peace.